Good evening, friends. This video is a collection of video clips from points around the property of interesting growth and things have changed since my last report. There is a bit of wind noise and a couple other noises, but I've changed my equipment setup. I am pleased with the video quality and the human element in this video. So I decided that I would not try and take those out for fear of ruining the sound quality in the other better parts. So I hope you enjoy this video. I cut back the grapevines. I haven't gotten any ripe grapes off them yet, but at the very least they put out an awful lot of biomass for the compost. I cut down all the grass that was growing up in the former herb garden. This is a very thick grass and the soil is kind of clayey here, so what I'm going to do is cover that with cardboard. These are the big rocks that was on the outside border. I'm going to replace it with driftwood to make a nice straight border there. I'm going to take up these chives. I got some new groups of chives growing up behind the shed that I'm going to replace them with. This is oregano, planted a long time ago and I don't remember the variety. Coming over here we have the lemon balm. And I believe there's one other herb growing here, but I can't find it. I'm going to remove this rose bush. Keep this one. Not sure whether I'll put the cardboard all the way over and under this swing or not. So I use driftwood to build a frame, a base for the cold frame that's going here. That window there, that is into the cold room. I actually have to seal that off with some insulation to keep the cold room a little cooler. I have a cucumber here. Down here is, I believe, straight 8 cucumbers I've planted in this area. That's a muskmelon growing up there. For the cucumbers, I let them get a little limp, but they'll be okay. I have some more growing in here. I'm going to fill this area. These beds are out. Here's the other two. Now when I put the cold frame over this window here opens into the main basement, so I can open that window and have supplemental heat in the cold frame if I want. This cold frame is 2 sections of 8, so that would be 16 feet, whereas the cold frame up there is I believe 14 feet, might be only 12. Snowball bush. It was leaving out quite fine, and I took up a ring of sod around here, and I found out when I cut that it sends out a wide mat of feeder roots really close to the surface, and because of that now I've cut the outer edge of the quite why. This thing was very sickly and putting in very few leaves the last 2 years. This would have been the third year. It was growing better. But when I did this down below, a caterpillar infested it and ate every green leaf off it. And these green leaves now are a replacement after the growth that I had shown in my first tour. Underneath this mulch is 4 inches of compost, and then there's 4 inches of mulch on top, and 5 straight 8 cucumber plants. Regular peas, snap peas. They were looking quite anemic before I put the mulch down there. I've got another about 4 inches of grass clippings placed here. A bit of plastic garbage just blown in. Saber. This is your regular green pea. That's my sign that I made for the peas. I'll be making similar signs for all the garden vegetables. Next year I'll have signs for them all. Over the winter I'll make the signs. These are snow peas. I picked some already. And I'm getting sunflower plants to grow. Some of them might get up tall enough that I'll get sunflowers off them this year. Small rose bush that actually had a lot of dead on them this year. I don't know why. The initial compost wood chips was deeper here. There's a dip in the ground. And so the peas are growing better. I still had to mulch it though. Here's my biggest sunflower here. On the outside though, of the fence, I'm just going to put you over the fence. These are short sunflowers. So they only grow not very much taller than what they are now. I get some good might get some good sunflowers off those. And those are the sugar snap peas. Growing all along the fence there. 10, 20, 30, 40 feet of fence with the sugar snap edible pods. Romeo cherry is doing good. It done good right from the day I planted it last year, and when I transplanted it over here it didn't seem to even notice. This is what the purple smoke bush looks like with just foliage. Even just foliage is nice. Very much nicer when you have flowers on it. This year it looks like it's going to try and put out a couple little Charlie Brown Christmas tree like flowers. The Juliet cherry recovered from the attack by the snowshoe hare. They're doing well. This one looks like he's starting to droop. Wondering if I should water him. We've had a lot of heat. I'm starting something here now. I put mulch there. I'm going to have to bring the garden hose because I put 2 strawberry plants in here so far, and that one's really droopy. This firecracker goji is doing well. Once again, though, I'm going to water it. I'll bring the hose over here in a few minutes and water all these along here. This is the other firecracker goji. Gooseberry. It's actually less berries on this year than it was last year. Strawberry plants are doing well. I picked 4.5 gallons of strawberries from these 2 beds so far this year. That's the first flush they're ever bearing, so they'll get a second flush in the fall. The salad greens bed is doing very well. We got Swiss chard, Cimarron lettuce. The radish is bolted. We have early Great Lakes lettuce and bright light Swiss chard. This bed, I planted tree seeds on this end, and I got volunteer potatoes. Right there is a persimmon tree. 1, 2, 3. I had a 4th one over here. You see the little red stick sticking out of the ground. A rabbit clipped the top off it. Volunteer potatoes I planted, and I have, this is an Apache pepper one. This little one here is starting to flower, and this one here is flowering, and I have a fourth one right there. And these plants, that one, okay, this one, they're wildflower seed. And as you can see, they're starting to flower now. Going to come out with a bright orangey yellow flower. There's another one. They'll be open tomorrow. I'll come out and take a shot of them. This tree here is a cherry plum. There's 1, 2, 3 of them. When they get about a foot high, I'll transplant them over to their forever home. The beets are doing very well. I covered these to protect it from the snowshoe hare, but I have 2 beds of beets. This is the one I set in rows across the bed. And this is the one where I just sprinkled the seed out over the top of the bed and then cultivated the surface. They are starting to enlarge, but not ready to be harvested yet. It's mostly you see a lot of very big leaves on top. This bit I sprinkled over with carrot seed and cultivated the top. As you can see, it got taken over. There are carrots growing all throughout it. It got taken over with volunteer potatoes and volunteer turnip. There's even a volunteer tomato growing right there. The bed next to it, I just planted butternut squash. Which is currently flowering. We're just waiting for it to get a female and male flower at the same time. There's a cucumber plant in there. Once again, volunteer potatoes. This tomato plant I deliberately planted there. This looks like a tiny Tim cherry tomato, which I deliberately planted. I just never recorded. These mint looking plants is lemon balm, which has made itself a weed as well. Eggplant. 2 eggplants I planted back in October, and they had gotten root bound over the winter and they were starting to die. I planted them here. They sat for quite a while and then started to perk up. Now they're flowering again. Let's see if I can get to. So in hopes that I will get a eggplant off those. They are heirloom, so I'll be able to collect the seed. This is the mother plant. Right here, of the Apache peppers. Started to rain when I was videoing last night, so I went in the house. These trees aren't looking as stressed this morning, but because I don't think it was a whole lot of rain, and we probably won't get much rain for the next few days, I'm going to soak it down anyway. So now back to the vegetable garden. Carrots are doing well in this bed. This is the one I set them out in rows. I tried really hard to make them space them out originally when I set the seed. Some places I did it too well and I didn't have much seed. I got pretty much a 100% germination rate on the carrots, which is nice because these are seed I grew last year. Over here, these are the largest of the carrots I grew last year. I set them in and they are flowering now, so I'll get plenty of seed off them this year. This is an onion plant that I sent, but it's the onions that I bought from Canadian Tire, hoping to get seed, but I think I'm going to order some seed from Vessey's, and then from then on I'll keep track of what variety I have. Bunching onions, I set 8 of them and only 3 of them survived, so I'll have to research more on that, whether I can set them in the fall. I set these in the fall and see whether I got to set them in the fall or do I have to keep them in the cellar or somewhere over winter. According to the stalks, the garlic seems to be growing well. I think I know what I need to do with cabbage and cole crops. Here's another one of my little signs I made. These are the 2 best plants I have growing of the cole crops right now. It's a broccoli there, and I believe this is a cauliflower. The mulch, they were on their way down. I was watering them every day, but they were still slowly dying until I put the mulch around them, and they then perked up. Down here, I have a kale. In the spring, when the weather was still cool, that started to grow, and I thought I was going to have a great kale, and then it just stopped, and it sat there for a full month, never did anything, just looked green, and I put the mulch around it and it started to grow again, even though the weather was still even hotter than before. I have 2 more kale plants growing that seem to be growing nicely that I planted just before I put the mulch on. And all of these plants, I had to replant everything, but they seem to be very healthy now. The bigger one over there, that's one that was there before, and it's perked up as well and growing. This part of the rhubarb patch, I didn't expect it to grow too well this year because I dug it up and planted back pieces last year. But now, after a long stretch of hot weather, it's starting to look to go down. It needs mulch and a lot of water. The rest of the bed, which I never touched because it was doing well anyway, it too is looking like it's starting to droop. So the next time I mow grass, that'll probably get some attention. Herbs are growing nicely. I've had mulch on these for a while. I cut back the sage, the thymes, and the tarragon there a few days ago. I snipped the tops off the basils, and I had to cut this catnip way back, cut that hanging in bunches to dry. The other herbs I put in my dehydrator. These basil are small because the catnip had grown right out over them and was completely shading them out. Parsnip is doing well. And the other basil. The wildflowers over here aren't flowering yet. Here's the garlic chives that I've set to replace the bunches that are down below that has a lot of weeds in them. I have my hen house set up for 3 dozen hens. So that's the old pen. Now that I've got the hens moved over, I can clean that out and put it in the compost. And this is the new pen. It's all nice fresh sawdust. And the hens enjoying themselves, fluffing around in that. There's the laying box, which because I had made it as a separate piece when I done the other pen, I could just unscrew it from that and screw it right back onto the opening I made there. And after I get the other pen cleaned out, then I'll make the little access door right there for when I'm putting in new hens. I can put them over there until they get used to each other, and then open the door so that they can mingle. This is an old, it's one of those coolers that you get ice out of at the gas stations, and I'm using it to store my hen feed in. So I've got the grass all mowed down around these trees. Soon I'll cut them down and cover this area in cardboard, and if I have it, I'll mulch the area. If not, I'll just hold the cardboard down with branches from the trees. This is the garbage that was actually hiding in all of that grass. And up in section 2, where I've been collecting a lot of mulch, I have a couple small piles of garbage. This is the slope where the food forest will be growing up. I'm not going to walk down there. I'm going to try to zoom in this camera so you can see those boards down there. That was the end of the hen's pen when I had a hen pen there before. So a wall will go across there, and the food forest will continue up from that. I will make the end pens the same size as what I added before. Swinging around. lower vegetation mowed down, it's easier to walk in through here and see what I've got. Now, as I said in another video, there's blueberry bushes along this. Is mostly blueberry bushes right here, and the sheep laurel is further out. And of course, where this is mostly clean, I have to keep an access way for my wood shelter there. But over in this area, I can plant away at whatever I chose to plant here. As I said, I won't be cutting out that forest, but all of these aspen here, I'm going to cut those down and replace them with fruit trees. After I get that done, it depends on how fast I can get trees, then I'll be going up that side of the roadway and into the section 3.